And we are back. Just a recap for those of you who were tuning in. We were talking about the benefits of music, and we left off explaining basically when there was a time in our life that that music was there. I was kind of saying that me moving around so much and being in so many schools, it was really hard for me to make friends and everything else. So, music was there to essentially um, take my hand and teach me how to cope with all the things that I was going through. Obviously, us growing up as 90s kids, therapy wasn't something that was, encouraged. Therapy was like, if you see a therapist, you're crazy. If,
Mm-hmm.
if you're taking antidepressants, oh my God, stay away from me. We were society still kind of throws us in that box. I feel like we've gotten a lot better than we have when we were growing up. Obviously, we still have a lot of work to do in terms of just trying to make a difference. But, like I said, music for me, it helped me the two times that I nearly took my life. First time was in school, it was in high school in front of people. And I was very much alone. That at least that's how I felt. I didn't have anybody telling me otherwise, and I had people like Hoobastank and Limp Bizkit, Linkin Park. Just so many different artists were there. Obviously them not knowing they were directly there, but they were there for me as a kid. Just showing me that I wasn't alone and that they were going through what I was going through at some point in their life. So, that's just a little bit of how I've needed music to get me through what I've gotten through. Kind of backtracking to the eating portion of the benefits to music. Can you read that for me again, Vince, of the benefits of eating less?
Yeah, it says that scientists say that soft lighting and relaxed music will help you chill out and take your time eating. So when you eat slowly, you feel full faster, leading you to consume less overall.
I should probably dim my lights. I've been
Don't worry, George, you got 10 more bags.
I just found this behind my monitor and I'm
I mean, hey, you got to do what you got to do to self-care, I guess.
indulge in my sour bite crawlers. Yes, I am.
So I have a question that I was kind of thinking about last night, just trying to figure out how I could possibly word it right without it sounding wrong.
Just let it go.
Do you think music can have a negative impact on somebody? And by that, I mean, you go back and you listen to old Eminem, right? And you listen to the things that he said about family members, or you listen to whatever metal artist or rock artist that talked about really messed up things. Obviously, us in this Zoom call know the difference between an artist just putting out music and then somebody actually using that music as a scapegoat to why they were doing that. And obviously, I don't know if you guys remember or not, but they tried blaming Marilyn Manson for, I think it was a shooting when we were in middle school. And they basically tried to blame it on Marilyn Manson's music. So I guess, do you think music can have a negative impact on somebody?
100%.
I do, and I also think it depends on the mood that person's in.
Right.
So like I was not allowed to listen to metal and shit when I was in high school, and I wasn't allowed to dress because I more so fell into the emo subculture.
Right.
Because that's the people I hung out with, and that's who I felt most comfortable with. But I wasn't allowed to listen to the same shit or dress that way because they felt I was, and I didn't find this out till recently, but they felt that it would change the way I am and turn me into somebody else.
Interesting.
So I definitely think my parents had that that point of view on how music can be, but I also think it's ultimately going to be the way that person is and the mood that they're in.
So basically, it just comes down to the individual. It's not necessarily the music that inspires somebody to go out of their mind.
Because I'll go listen to Limp Bizkit break stuff. It don't mean I'm not gonna go punch some motherfucker in the face.
Right.
Just me too.
Yeah.
I think it's a mixture of both, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think it has to do more so with the individual.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if you listen to enough music, I'm not saying us, because I'm saying, but like you can get someone who's not, I don't want to say this and make it like sound come off. You send someone who's not fully there.
Yeah.
And you start, and they start doing it. I mean, I listen to mostly hip hop and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it could be very violent. And I feel like a lot of it's like glorified in that music. You know what I'm saying? So like the jail, the shootings, the brutality, all this stuff, I feel like in that music it's glorified.
Right.
And I feel like a lot of that like environment, that culture is based off the music.
It's interesting that you bring up the glorified thing, because that's one of the reasons I brought up this question, was because if you listen to guys like Juice WRLD, or you listen to any of the not all of them are mumble rappers. They have songs where they mumble or whatever, but a good portion of those guys or girls kind of glorify drug use. Xanax is a really big thing in our age group.
Lil Zane.
Yeah.
Literally,
birthday cake was like a freaking Xanax pill.
Right. And I feel that our generation of hip hop artists kind of glorified drug dealing.
Yeah.
And this generation is, I don't want to say encouraging drug use, but glorifying it. Whether it's lean, whether it's Xanax, whether it's heroin, for God's sake, whatever the hell it is, there's glorification in some form of another in probably every form of music. Mm-hmm. Look at Cardi B. Look at Nicki Minaj talking about some of the things that they do in their music. They talk about how great it is to sell their bodies to people. How great it is to rob people. Whatever it is, and it's like you said, it's a little bit of both. But I feel that these artists just have surpassed that boundary of trying to inspire people versus trying to deter people from that lifestyle. Now it's just kind of like, that's the normality, is drug use. That's the normality is, if you're a F up in life, then, drug use is the way to go, or whatever it is. So going back to listening to like Eminem, listen to the song Kim or Under the Influence, whatever it is.
Frame, insane.
It's vicious. And I couldn't imagine his music back then being around in today's generation, because, we have TikTok, we have Twitter, whatever it is. Everybody is so connected to each other. And with all these artists posting or rapping, whatever they do about what they do, it makes things really difficult to determine the difference between reality and how to act like a normal human being.
Yeah, I feel like for the majority, obviously the majority can defer like reality from music.
Yeah.
So like I'm not gonna sit here and listen to like a Gucci Mane song about going to buy bricks. I'm not gonna go and buy like 4 kilos of coke.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like I could listen to music and just tap that out. I'm saying I could listen to Cardi B and just tap it out and just be like, all right, it's just the music.
Right.
But then it's not. I feel like it's mostly in hip hop.
Yeah.
That I guess like stereotype of, well, I don't want to say stereotype of like what we we're just talking about, but it's also the 80s rock.
Yeah, I was gonna say the 80s rock was really bad.
Not so much in the music, but the lifestyle that was glorified of the going out, the having sex, the doing drugs, the, you know what I'm saying? Like the lifestyle of being a rock star back in the day.
Yeah.
And I feel like every genre has that like thing about them that they're more.
I mean,
like,
look at country. There's a lot of like mentioning of drinking in country music. And, you know, I'm not gonna judge you for having a beer, you know, here and there. But again, it's glorifying that lifestyle of drug use, alcohol use, whatever it is. And I feel like now that everybody has that label, a label thrown on them, like this person's bipolar, this person's depressed, you know, whatever, there is a pill for everything. And I feel like a lot of these artists encourage those pills to be used. Did you just say something, Vince?
Mm-mm.
Oh,
No.
okay. But you know, I feel it's a topic that a lot of people don't really bring up, and I feel more should, because you know, my last podcast was about addiction, and there's a lot of stigma around addiction, but that stigma is not being helped by music. It's probably making it worse, if we're being honest. Like, that glorifying of the drug use is not helping those addicts. You know, be like, oh well, maybe I should quit, and then you hear a song on the radio and it's talking about how many bars of Xanax that this person can put up their nose. You know, it's crazy.
Like you were saying before about like how Eminem's music wouldn't be like tolerated now.
Yeah,
This is really not an artist out now that's like him in like the late 90s, early 2000s.
God, no.
If you think music, but you got to think about it too. It also carries over as to like movies, because think about some of the movies that play from the 90s.
yeah.
They have advisories now at the beginning. Like this movie, I swear to God, like 2 weeks ago, or a couple weeks ago, me and Christina were sitting down watching a movie. Yeah, and it was like this movie was made in a different era when like people thought a certain way, so don't take it like to heart. And it was like a comedy from like the night. I don't remember what movie it was, but it was on like live TV, and that's how we have become.
Yeah.
This country has become, this generation has become, is like you need now to put a disclaimer up, like, don't take this offensive. This was made before you were born.
Right.
Like,
I mean, look at the old cartoons, man. I mean, Pinocchio was heavy with the alcohol and you know, all that use. You know, we
imagine Johnny Bravo right now.
God.
Nope.
Exactly.
We could not do Johnny Bravo. Absolutely not.
No.
I was watching I was going on HBO just looking through old Cartoon Network shows, and I put on an episode of the old Powerpuff Girls, and listening to some of the dialogue in that show is just like, man, if this came out in 2022 with how they worded this,
It'd get canceled.
You know what we were actually laughing at is how South Park survived all this.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to be fair, they've kept that like TVMA rating probably the entire time they've been around.
Yeah, but like you never hear
right
like a cancel of South Park.
I think it's because they make fun of cancel culture.
Oh yeah, or like a protest of South Park. Like,
right.
not only that, like their following is like a cult. You are not breaking the South Park. It's not happening.
And they go after everybody. That's what makes it really funny. I
think that's why it's allowed though. It's like comedy.
Yeah.
Like comedian, stand-up comedy. As long as you go after everybody, it's okay.
Well, unless you're Dave Chappelle, then everybody tries to cancel you. That man is uncancelable.
Look at it for what it is, it's okay. But once you start trying to dig in, then it's whatever.
So there are so many influential artists out there in terms of music. Who is the trying to think of how I should wear this? What artist was one of the first ones that got you into listening to music? Obviously, we're like 30 something years old, so I know that's a hard question, but like when you were a kid, like who was the first person that got you like immediately hooked into music?
Bone Thugs and Harmony. That's a very easy question.
Who is it?
Bone Thugs and Harmony.
Oh, okay. I know it's a hard question.
Kiss.
Okay. I think the first artist that I can remember that got me into music was probably the Eagles. Very, very different from what I listen to now, but I could always go back to an Eagles song and listen to them, and always enjoy how different their music is from somebody like Disturbed, because what a range.
Yeah.
Okay, so just so we're shooting the shit here about music, do you like when artists cover other artists? I know that's kind of a strange question, but I do know there are a lot of people who don't like when artists cover other artists.
It really depends. That's such like a, oh man, my answer for this is gonna be so like all over the place. I like the samples.
Yeah.
Of like music. I feel
and
like
I feel like that's fine. I feel like when you try to like cover a rap or a hip hop song and try to make it your own, I hate it.
Yeah, like there's a hip hop artist or like an R&B artist named Jacquees. He basically became famous doing covers.
Right.
But then he started making his own songs and all that. So like now, like he's good. But he made like songs like his own. So like I don't know, I'm like 50-50 on that. It depends. Like if it's a song that I really, really like, don't touch it. Just don't.
Exactly. Yeah, I feel the same exact way. So for me, again, like you said, it depends. There is a specific artist that I refuse to like hear out anybody cover until recently was Linkin Park. I feel when anybody tries to cover Linkin Park and either A, tries to make it their own, or B, just completely butchers the damn song. I don't know if you know who Bad Wolves is. So they covered a Linkin Park song. This is with the original lead singer, Vince. And, yes. And it was the worst song I have ever heard in my entire life, because he completely slowed it down. And it sounded like, to put it bluntly, it sounded like dog shit. Same question for you, Vince.
I'm torn on it too, because like there's songs that don't need to be covered.
Agreed.
Like Chester's songs, those he had the vocal range to make those songs the way they are, and nobody's gonna be able to hit it. Like that's just what it is.
Yeah.
I haven't heard that song that he did, that Tommy Vex did from Bad Wolves.
I'll save you the 5 minutes. Don't do it. Don't do it.
But that also falls in line, and I'm gonna catch a lot of shit for this, but I like MGK.
Oh,
his older shit.
Yes, his older stuff I'll agree is decent, but I can't do newer stuff.
Not anything in the past
3 years.
8 years.
Okay. Yeah.
yeah.
And he tried to do a cover of a Linkin Park song and brutally murdered it.
It was so bad.
Like, and then his cover of Misery Business, like, no, it wasn't good.
It kind of reminded me of this. I don't know the female artist's name, but somebody tried covering a Led Zeppelin song. I don't have a problem with hearing somebody cover Led Zeppelin because I think Led Zeppelin is phenomenal.
Right.
But this girl sounded so bad. This is when I was working at Publix. I screamed every time it came on. I'm like, all right, this radio needs to go off. I got written up for it one time because I'm like, I can't listen to this song. It's garbage. And they eventually took it off their playlist.
Yeah.
From Ashes to New has done 2 Linkin Park covers.
Yeah.
Matt did the Given Up scream on one of his clips, and it sounded really, or not Matt, I'm sorry, Danny did the Given Up part, the 25-second scream, and it sounded really good. And then they covered Faint, and they covered Breaking the Habit, I think. Both very good. Highly recommend those covers. But yeah, I think what you guys said, it really depends because I've heard some really bad covers.
Yeah.
I feel like we can go to karaoke night and hear covers of like 90% of songs.
That
Like,
doesn't
I feel like
count.
there's some songs that are just meant to be covered.
Right.
Like, considered.
Like, who sings that song again? Oh yeah, Leave It to Them.
Yeah.
I was messing around and tell my buddy Mikey that. I'm like, oh, what song are you singing? And he'll tell me the name. I'm like, yeah, Leave It to Them.
Good.
Or Mikey.
Savage. So give me your top 5 favorite artists. Doesn't have to be a specific genre. Can be any genre of Vince. I'll start with you.
Are we talking about all time, or are we talking about
Just in
now?
general? Like it could be whatever era.
Okay. Well, so like my number one is gonna be Kiss. That'll be my number one till I die. Always loved their music.
Was that because of family?
No, I mean, yeah, kind of. My dad listened to him a lot, and that was really like my first concert growing up back in Tucson. So once I saw him live, it was over. My next one is going to be Falling in Reverse. Kevin Gates.
Oh,
Wow. Was not expecting that one.
me neither.
Then Upchurch and From Ashes to New on that.
Okay. George, top 5 artists.
All right, there's no specific order.
No specific order.
Okay. Bone Thugs and Harmony.
Okay.
Blast. August Alsina. This is such a hard question. People are gonna laugh at me when I say this, but it's because like I just genuinely love the vibe of his music. Is Nelly
Okay.
and
Dig that.
Anthony Hamilton.
Okay. Top 5 artists for me, and in specific order. Linkin Park, Rise Against, From Ashes to New. Oh man, I gotta think about 4 and 5. I would probably go number 4, Limp Bizkit, just because I just love their music. He's such a goofy ass dude, and I love everything about their music. Number 5, just to kind of switch the genre, and because I just love his music, I gotta go with The Weeknd. The Weeknd's pretty damn dope.
God. Oh.
Yeah.
Listen,
I just had this debate with everybody, and I was like, I like his music, but I think he's overrated.
I mean that's fair. I think he's one of the most overplayed artists. I wouldn't put him on my like all time, but like right now, those are my 5.
Oh yeah, because his music, he's good. I don't get me wrong, he's good. I just don't.
I agree with you. I think he's very. I think the radio kills a lot of really good artists.
Yeah.
If I had to replace The Weeknd, I'd probably put Falling in Reverse. Just because his music is unmatched right now. I think Rodney Rackey is incredible. Terrible human being. But great music. George, I want to read a line for you on one of his songs that he just recently released, and it's called Voices in My Head.
Didn't you send me that video?
Yes.
Okay.
So this line reads, "The voices in my head keep telling me I'm not okay. It feels like a hurricane in my brain. Dark clouds, hard times, bad weather. Please don't make this last forever. The voices in my head keep telling me I'm going to die. I don't want to talk about the drama. I'm traumatized." That last line is just, it embodies everything about him as an artist because it's so clever. Just like basically just talking about the song. Just talking about, literal voices in your head. Like you will have bad thoughts, you have good thoughts, and it's phenomenal. Vince, you can relate to how incredible Rodney is. Just Jesus, man, so good.
Yeah, open with that song, I'm gonna be pissed.
I don't think you would open with it. There's no way. What do you like better? Do you like Popular Monster or do you like Voices in My Head better?
Bro. Oh. Is that one's a hard one to choose because like all the lyrics in both of those songs are just so well written and so just down to earth, and they make you feel like you feel that if that is the song that you're going to, that is something you're going through in your mind and you feel that. I can't pick between the two because they're both just phenomenal.
Yeah. George, so for Popular Monster, I want to read this line to you because it's probably my favorite line out of the entire song. So it's I think I'm going nowhere like a rat trapped in a maze. Every wall that I knock down is just a wall that I replace. I'm in a race against myself. I try to keep a steady pace. How the fuck will I escape if I never close my case? Bruh. When I heard that line, I shit you not, when I had to replay that song at least 10 times within an hour, because I was just like, it took me so back. This song came out like the beginning of the pandemic, Vince? Something like that?
Yeah.
And just, everything that went on in the pandemic, losing Amy. And then, of course, Santi was towards the end of the pandemic and everything. There's, again, going back to when music was there. There's a lot of songs that makes me think of Santi, George. And I don't know if you have a specific song that you listen to because of him, but this is one of the songs that was put out in that era of music that really impacted me and just put things into perspective of what people were going through in the pandemic, what we were struggling with, So before we go and end today's session, I just want to say thank you guys so much for doing this. I hope you enjoyed the podcast as much as I did. I thought it was a lot of fun. I read a quote at the end of every podcast, and I wanted to read it to you. Took me a little bit of searching because I was trying to avoid reading a song for the end of this podcast, and I found one from a Henry David. Oh my God, I'm gonna butcher his last name. Thoreau, I think is how you say his last name.
Oh, that's my homie.
Yeah.
When I hear music, I fear no danger. I am invulnerable. I see no foe, and I am related to the earliest times and to the latest.
That's pretty dope.
Yeah.
The I am invulnerable and I see no foe part kind of brought me back to your comment at the beginning of the podcast, George, with it's kind of like a language that everybody could speak. Mm-hmm. That when you're listening to music with a group of people, it doesn't matter who it is, you all can relate to that song in one form or another. You may not like how it sounds, like rock music. I know a lot of people that I hang out with, like Caleb, doesn't really care for rock music as much as I do. But when there's a song that comes on and you can relate to the lyrics, like, holy shit, that line stood out to me, and that line kind of planted in the back of your brain. Mm-hmm. That quote I thought was very powerful to me, and I wanted to share it with you guys, and hope it could stick with you a little bit. And like I said, thank you guys again so much for doing this podcast with me. I think this is one of my favorite podcasts that I've done. George, I know I talked to Christina about the podcast with her and her daughter. I will get with you soon on that. Vince, same with you. I know you and I have a solo session here soon for a podcast. but let me know your guys' schedule. We'll figure everything out moving forward. Thank you guys again. To all my listeners, thank you again for tuning in. Sorry for the little intermission that we had to do. But make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the social medias. I am on Spotify, iTunes, and YouTube. Please be well and be gentle with yourselves, warriors. Thank you for listening.